A small town, once famous for its beauties, however, the history of the town dated back to ancient times and carried a mysterious curse in it. This curse was associated with an old plane tree located in the middle of the town. The plane tree was an enormous tree that rose in the central square of the town. This tree, which is said to be thousands of years old, was planted by the ancient gods according to local legends. However, it was believed that there was a curse from the past under the plane tree. Every 100 years, the most beautiful young girl in the town would become a victim of this curse. The young girls of the town used to live in fear of this curse, which happened every 100 years. It was not known how the curse would end or how it should be prevented. Over the years, the townspeople have tried to solve this mystery, but with no result. The last cursed victim of the town became Isabella, a young girl famous for her beauty and goodness. Although he had a good heart, he could not escape from becoming a victim of the curse. The townspeople tried desperately to protect Isabella, but the power of the curse was over everything. On the night when the curse reached its peak, a community gathered under the town's plane tree. Isabella, in tears, was taken to the shade of the tree. Under the branches that stretched to the sky on the hill, a mysterious mist appeared, and suddenly a presence appeared. This being represented the anger of the ancient gods and approach to get Isabella. The townspeople prayed desperately and thought about what they could do to change Isabella's fate, but they were helpless in the face of the power of the curse. Isabella, her eyes filled with fear, retreated under the plane tree and disappeared. There was silence for a moment. Then the town bells suddenly started ringing and the townspeople scattered in terror. Isabella, who never returned, became the last victim of the curse. He had disappeared under the plane tree by the power of the curse. After that day, the townspeople began not to approach near the plane tree. The tree was surrounded by wire fences and was considered an ominous place. The curse was still on the town, and no one could solve the mystery caused by these ancient gods. The history of the town was surrounded by a curse of ancient times, and this curse still casts a shadow on people's lives. Taking a victim every 100 years reminds, he continued to be the fearful dream of the townspeople. There was a forgotten wardrobe in the basement of his house. This closet had a special meaning for the old Lady Mary. She had married young, and the closet was a place where she kept her wedding dress and old clothes. However, an old eye hidden in this closet would change his life forever. One night, before Mary went to sleep in her room, she decided to randomly open the closet door. Squinting, he looked into the closet and noticed something among the decrepit clothes inside. There was a human eye there, horribly rotted and degraded. The eye was watching Mary madly, as if it seemed to be looking at her. Mary, in terror, drew back and quickly closed the door of the closet. For a moment he considered the incident imaginary. Maybe he was tired, or it was an eye illusion. However, he could not sleep that night and had nightmares about the eye he saw in the closet. The next day, she refrained from opening the closet door, but she could not forget the presence of the eye for several days. He didn't even want to enter the room, however. His curiosity and anxiety prompted him to look in the closet again. He slowly opened the closet door and looked inside. The eye was still there, in the same terrible condition this time. The eye seemed to come closer to him. Mary's heart began to beat rapidly, and she closed the closet door once more. After that day, Mary could no longer enter the room. The closet was scaring him, making his nightmares worse. He tried everything to forget the eye, even called a holy priest of the house. But no matter what he did, the terrible eye he saw in the closet would not leave him alone. One night, Mary couldn't take it anymore. He opened the door of the closet and decided to examine the eye inside more closely. The eye was still looking at him, but now it seemed to have come closer. Mary took off the old clothes around the eye and tried to figure out how the eye got there. Then he realized something. The eye was not actually a human's eye. It was like a very realistic glass eye. Mary was in shock and carefully removed the glass eye. As soon as the eye came out, he heard a breathing sound, and a strange energy that had spread throughout the room suddenly disappeared. After that day, Mary no longer had nightmares. She could easily enter her room. His glass eye was a source of strange fear and paranoia in his life, and he wanted to forget about that terrible eye. Now, however, he never found out why that glass eye was in the closet and who left it. An old farmhouse located on the outskirts of our small town was a place where the townspeople stayed away. The building was surrounded by barbed wire and its windows were covered with thick curtains. The owner of this house was known to everyone in the town as the Man Without Eyes. No one knew the real name of the Man Without Eyes. Those who came close to his house said that he lived there and had no eyes. Therefore, the townspeople used to stay away from this place. However, I succumbed to my curiosity and decided to go there one night just to see the house. One dark night, I quietly approached the side of the house and dared to look in through a window December, but the sight I saw was creepy. There was a huge mirror in the room, and there was a man standing in front of the mirror. However, the man had no eyes. There were only two gaps. The man looked like he was looking in a mirror and was whispering inwardly. I couldn't hear his voice, but I saw his lips move suddenly. The man's eyes formed and trapped his will into his eyes. His eyes were black and bright, filled with a dark energy. This moment made me tremble with fear, and I quickly walked away from there. But after that night, the eyes of the Man Without Eyes began to follow me wherever I went. His eyes were watching me. When they were reflected in the mirror or glass, they were staring at me with a crazy look. I have tried to understand the origin and purpose of these eyes, but I have failed. No one knew why the man with no eyes made these eyes and watched people. Now I live in fear, and I am afraid that at any moment his eyes will catch me. The eyes of the Man Without Eyes have become a frightening legend circulating in our town. No one knows its true nature, and purpose. And this dark presence still hovers over the town like a shadow,